tanto jugando suelto como en competición. Tanto si se trata de un rápido 9 hoyos o de un gran 36. Tanto si juegas bajo presión o arrasando, siempre das lo mejor de ti. Nuevo Fuel de FootJoy.
Okay. Well, we will go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome Webb Simpson to the interview room here at the Wells Fargo Championship. Webb, quite frankly, it wouldn't be a Wells Fargo Championship without a Webb Simpson press conference. So I think we're still below the Mason-Dixon line, so this still kind of qualifies. On the way in, you said this is your first time here, so why don't we just start with that and just kind of get your thoughts on the course and what you've seen of it so far?
Yeah. Well, this is one of the rare places where all players really love this golf course. Typically, you'll get answers all over the board. When you ask how's the golf course, but everyone I asked who's played here said they loved it, and it's tough, it's long, and yeah, I've been very impressed. The golf course condition is awesome. Unfortunately, we got some rain. I hope somehow we don't get a ton this weekend, but it looks inevitable. But yeah, it's a really big golf course, a hard golf course. But I've been impressed, and yeah, I'm excited to see how it shakes out.
And just some thoughts on your game. 10 or 11 starts this season, only 2 missed cuts. Just kind of assess how you're feeling coming into the week.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird, I guess, couple of years with COVID and multiple injuries. I went 10, 11 years with no injuries at all. And I hurt my neck back in February. I hurt my neck the year before at the Wells Fargo. So it's been a bit up and down. I feel like, Paul and I, when we get out here, we're kind of playing catch-up, both in the FedEx Cup, working on my golf swing. So it has not been the year I wanted so far, but that's why I love this sport and this tour, because I got a lot of golf left. And, I pay attention to guys who win tournaments. It seems like once a month we have a tour winner who's been on a bad run. And so I feel like, I always want to be ready. If this is the week I turn it around, I want to be ready and, believe I can compete on Sunday.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll take a few questions. If you would just kind of point us out, we'll pass the microphone to you.
Webb, of course, you've had the injuries, and now you have a big stretch of golf coming up this summer with 3 majors in the next 10 weeks. Given that you hadn't been hurt before and now you have, are you looking at changing your schedule and playing less often, or are you fully healthy and full go?
Yeah, I'm fully healthy. The MRI showed a pretty good size herniation between C5 and C6. But they also thought with the proper kind of therapy that I've been doing the last 3 months, I'm getting kind of tired of it, but it's working, so I'll keep doing it. They think I can play the rest of my career without hurting my neck again, but I got to take really good care of it. So I'm playing catch up in the sense of my contracts. I got to play a certain amount of events. I'm behind the 8 ball in the FedEx Cup, so I'm feeling this push to want to play as much as I can. But I also got to remember, my best golf typically comes when I've had plenty of rest as well. So I'm walking that fine line of I have to play to improve my FedEx number, but I don't want to burn myself out come right before the playoffs.
And is it more time that you have to spend getting ready for the round now?
Yeah, I mean, it's before it would take me 20 minutes in the gym, and now I told Paul this morning on the range, it's about triple. It's an hour before every day. My traction therapy, loosening it up, but I might not need to do an hour's worth, but it's working and it's kept me injury-free for the last couple of months, I guess. Or I guess it's been about a month and a half. So I'm just going to keep doing it just to be safe.
Webb, I wonder, it's been a bit since you won your major, but did you notice in the weeks and years after that a difference in the questions that you were asked, that you had a stature as a major winner, that you might be asked more about the sport more broadly than just your game itself?
I think so. I mean, Tiger, Jack, they've put so much emphasis on majors and the importance of them. And obviously, you guys, put a lot of emphasis on them, as they should have emphasis on them. So, yeah, I think, I remember Martin Keimer won Whistling Straits, and I remember he said he got kind of in a bad rut of golf after, because he felt like he had to be this different person. He's a major champion now. And this was after he had kind of realized that, and he was getting back to kind of Martin Keimer golf. And I took that to heart, and I didn't want to change who I was. I didn't want to change the golfer I was. I happened to win a tournament against the same guys. It's still 72 holes. I just kind of told myself that. And so, yeah, there was maybe, more questions around the game of golf for me after that, but I think that's just part of it.
Rory is a guy that gets asked those questions a lot. I wonder, from the outside, how do you see him process those? He kind of seems like a spokesman for the sport at times.
Yeah. I mean, he's proven himself on the golf course. I think he's proven himself off the golf course. He's a leader, I think, for us in a lot of ways. Very articulate, and he's been a global player for a long time. And so I think his opinions matter. Him being on the board now, I think he brings a lot to the table. And he's certainly a guy who's, I think, been fun to listen to, because he's not just going to give you the right answers. He's going to give you what he thinks. And that's really good, I think, for a leader, for us players to have that.
Yeah. Webb, you mentioned you and other players, how much they've enjoyed this course. With that in mind, kind of what's the appetite among the players to come back to the DC area to play on a regular basis, especially because it had been the case for decades until Tiger's tournament left?
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of good memories here. My first major was at Congressional, 2011. It's a great area. We're used to being here in July when it's about 100 degrees. I'm sure we'll be missing that temperature come Saturday. But, yeah, it's a great area. There's so much to do, so much history, obviously. And I miss Tiger's tournament being in DC. I hope we get another event in this area, every year. I think we will. So yeah, it's nice to be back.
Cameron, then Wacker.
Webb, we've seen some wild finishes on the PGA Tour. Just wondering, what's the wildest last 60 minutes or so of a golf tournament that you've been involved in, where everything is kind of flip-flopped around in the last hour or so?
What comes to mind is the Phoenix Open. I hit in the water on 15. I'm already one back, and Tony hits it down the middle. And at that point, I'm thinking I'm probably out of it. But I kind of hung in there, and I happened to birdie 17, 18. Personally, that's probably the biggest flip. It's the only time I've ever gone from thinking, tournament's probably over, to me winning. I remember thinking on the 18th green, like, wow, I can't believe that just happened. And Tony's a good friend. He's a world-class player, and I happened to be able to birdie 2 holes coming in. But yeah, it's a funny sport, and I think that's a good reminder for me and any player. Like, you can't really be done until it's really done, because anything can happen. I mean, guys will bogey the last hole, double the last hole, especially, like my home club, Quail Hollow, is one of the hardest finishes on tour. I think if you're 4 back with 3 to go, you're still in it. So, yeah, I mean, that's the one that comes to mind.
Brian?
We've had a few guys come forward publicly now about their commitment to filing a release for the Live Golf event, the first event. As we move closer to the events in the U.S., as somebody who's on the PAC, what do you expect would happen should there be players who apply for releases for those North American events, and B, where does this ultimately lead to?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think I'm basing what I know off what the tour has said up to this point. I know they're looking at the situation from all angles, and I know their stance going back to Wells Fargo last year was, the penalty was a suspension. I don't think they defined how long. I don't know if they know that yet. But I understand they want to protect their product, their tour, their players. And I know it's tricky for everyone. Some guys see this as a opportunity to play in a different environment. But I'm committed to the PGA Tour, and I'm not really wrapped up in it. I'm not really worried about it. I've got enough to worry about being, I think I'm 131 on the FedEx Cup. I got a lot of work to do. So, yeah, I'm paying attention. Obviously, I'm in the know as much as the other pack members. But, yeah, it's a tough situation.
Not to put a crystal ball in your hand, but do you think there would be suspensions issued?
For the first event or for?
Probably more so the U.S.-based ones, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard because, RBC is a sponsor of mine. I've been with them, I think, 4 years now. They've been very, very loyal to the PGA Tour. They've given us a lot of opportunity between the RBC Heritage and RBC Canadian Open. They have a great event at a great golf course this year at St. George's. And, it's a 45-minute flight to U.S. Open. So I think it's, I'm a little biased because I love their partnership, both with me and the PGA Tour. So I do think if guys with PGA Tour cards go play in London when there's an opportunity to play for whatever it is, $8 million at RBC, I think I don't think it looks great for someone who maybe has played their entire career on the PGA Tour. But it's going to happen. I mean, this has all been in theory for the last bunch of years. It's, we're a few weeks away from, guys are going to do it. It just, we'll see how it all shakes out.
Webb, I asked you about the difference in commutes on the way in here. 5 minutes, you said, at Quail Hollow versus 20 this week. What's it like not being at Quail Hollow this week? And how much is it that much of a disadvantage, that extra 15 minutes?
Yeah, it was 20 minutes this morning versus 2. But, it's funny. Quail's my home club, but in the tournament, it plays a lot different than most of the year. People have often thought, I should always be, one of the favorites there because it's my home club. And I know it a little bit better than other guys, but I'm hitting it in spots in the tournament that I never hit it, all year round. And so I feel like I'm learning Quail Hollow every year like the other guys are. But, it's got a lot of the same feels as, being in Charlotte. I did notice on the first and 10th tees, they have the same tees as Quail, so maybe they borrowed thousands of tees from the Quail shop. But, no, it's good to be here. And I've missed it being at Quail this year. It's always nice to see everybody getting ready. But this will be a good test for us.
All right. Well, Webb, we appreciate your time.
Yep,
Have a great week. Thank you.
El nuevo Pro SL no tiene clavos, pero tiene un agarre increíble. Con una plancha de carbono adicional para optimizar el retorno de energía y un nuevo y moderno diseño, el zapato original de máximo rendimiento sin clavos tiene algunas ventajas importantes.